Mike Gatley. He's the athletic director for Mainland and the former president of the Cape Atlantic League, and he joins us now on the South Jersey Sports Report. Gat, good morning.
Good morning, Pete. How are you?
I am doing well, thank you, and I really appreciate you coming on with me. This is fun. I always like having you on the radio because you've got great stories to tell and great information to tell us, so thank you so much for coming on with us.
Absolutely, my pleasure. You know that.
Tell us a little bit about the state of the Cal right now in your mind. We talked with Steve Fortis earlier, and he's called it in flux. How would you describe the state of the Cape Atlantic League right now?
Well, I mean, obviously the big key right now is focusing on football. Going into the West Jersey League, I think that's going to be some exciting times, but at the same time, a little growth period for us too. They're having they actually have like a press conference, press day and all in the beginning of August where all the coaches will go up and people that are on the scheduling committee and all that. So I'm kind of excited to see how that all plays out. And, more importantly, Pete, has been well documented. It was the right move for us, albeit a tough one, from a standpoint of, somewhat losing the Cal insignia, but something that I think was very, very important, particularly for our smaller schools.
Well, keep us in the loop on that media day, if you will. And, of course, I would be remiss if I didn't say make sure you include Mike Frankel, too, and SNJ today. All your media outlets out here, make sure we know when that big day is for that media day because we want to be a part of that.
Yeah, no doubt. I'll send you the information. We just got kind of like a administrative packet, late last week, so I'll send that out to you guys.
Perfect. Now, you're talking football, and we're with Mike Gatley here on the South Jersey Sports Report. One of the things that Steve Fortis and I spoke about in the first hour of the show was about kickoff times, and a lot of schools are going to move to 6 o'clock. Do you know what time the Mainland games will kick off, or are you considering 6, or do you know?
No, it will be 6. Pete, I'm actually the one that brought it to to all the ADs. Something that I think would be important league-wide, but even if some of the ADs, and in particular, like Lower Cape May, their board prefers that they play at 7, and that's fine. Obviously, if you're Board of Education, they can dictate what time the games start, but, there was a couple reasons why we thought 6 o'clock was better, and I'm glad the league adopted it, but whether or not they did, we were going to be playing at 6 o'clock, and we've also moved our Thanksgiving Day game to Wednesday night at 6.
Oh, okay.
As opposed to Thursday morning. Again, that directed more toward family time. Kids have been with their parents and grandparents, etc. On Thanksgiving. And again, we'll have a tremendous crowd on Wednesday night. There's no doubt in my mind.
So if I was teasing you, I'd say you're just following St. Augustine Prep because they did the Wednesday night games and they were 6 o'clock last year.
Yeah, I mean, what, it was something when Chuck and I sat down and we talked about some different things for the football program. I was completely on board with that, and just looking at the 6 o'clock aspect in general, Pete, one of the factors in that decision was actually the press coverage, and one of the things that's concerning is when you don't get the stats in the paper the next day, sometimes because the game goes longer than it should. The kids only have 8 or 9 opportunities for that to be posted in the paper. So, by going to 6 o'clock, it gives that opportunity to get done for the kids. And, from an AD perspective, for me, either one is fine, but there were some particular reasons why I think 6 would be better than 7, not the least of which was our kids that are on the team are basically at school from 7:30 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night. We're trying to do some things to alleviate that.
That was definitely a point that Steve Fortis brought up as well, how long a day it is when the kids start that day at school and then till the time that a 7 o'clock game does get done. And just to expand on your point about the press coverage and peel the layer of that onion back, the press no longer printed on site in Pleasantville. They print off-site, so they do try to adjust their deadline to include as much high school football coverage as they can, but obviously a 6 o'clock start time would include more of the stats and things like you said. You also mentioned Mike Gatley's with us, the Mainland Athletic Director and the former president of the Cape Atlantic League. You mentioned the name Chuck Smith, and Chuck is the new head football coach of your program, and new football coach at Mainland is not a sentence that has been used in a while.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, Bob did a great job, and I was very, very fortunate to be able to work with him. The first 5 years that I was at Mainland, and but Chuck has come in, and I can tell you, I'm an attention to detail guy, Pete, as you know, and he makes me look a little shabby. So I'm very, very pleased so far. I mean, hey, you know what? We haven't ran for a first down. There's no lights on the scoreboard yet, but when you look at all the preparation that it's take, again, the attention to detail, the orientation of all our kids to really everything new. Very, very pleased with the progress. And like I always say, the lights on a scoreboard will take care of themselves if you're doing all the little things. And, Chuck does that every day, which I'm very, very, like I said, I'm very, very pleased with at this point.
Now, one of the things, too, with hiring Chuck Smith, he was already in the building. Well, we should point out he's been a Mainland teacher the entire run. I know he teaches TV and media production, so he's kind of, that's near and dear to my heart. But so even the time when he was over at Oakcrest coaching football, he was still a Mainland teacher. But also you get continuity with the staff, Gat. You get the Brian Booths of the world and other coaches. Maybe you could talk about the ability with Chuck coming in to have some sort of continuity in that staff.
Well, I think that's it. And I think that's important, Pete. I mean, one of the most difficult aspects of hiring a football coach is making sure that you have, the staff too, and whether it's in the building or not in the building. I mean, I've always said that if I had a soccer coach that turned around and said he didn't want to coach soccer and had two assistants that said, you know what, we're with the head coach, we're not coaching anymore, I could get 3 coaches. If I have that situation in football, I can't get 7 or 8 coaches. So, part of that whole process and part of the interview process is a discussion on, who is going to be on the staff, because to me, that's as critical a point as any. The reason why you have that many coaches is because of the level of responsibility. Nobody can do that by themselves. So you bring up a great point, and we're very, very fortunate. As I said, we have a lot of former Mustangs that are on our staff, and like I said, the combination of Chuck's organization and putting people in positions where they can be successful, I think is going to really make for an exciting football season.
Well, let's talk a little Mainland athletics overall. By my count, 24 sports. It's funny because I looked at Apsagami and they had 25 sports, and you guys have 24, but then I realized that they separate boys indoor track and girls indoor track, so really technically you're both the same size. But that's a wide variety of sports for you to oversee, Gat. Just tell me a little bit about the athletic department in general and the state of your programs right now.
Well, you know what, Pete, I'm very, very pleased. It's interesting because I was with my superintendent yesterday. We got in a late round of golf, and I was talking about, ironically, how I really believe it took 5 years when I was at Hamilton, to have some of the programs turn, toward, being competitive every single year. I mean, football obviously stood alone. All I did to get out of Pete Lancetta's way, and that's the best thing I ever did. But, when you look at the other programs, they all need attention. And I really believe at Mainland, if you go top to bottom right now, there's not one sport that the arrow's not pointing up, whether it meant we won a Cal, came in second in a Cal, won a South Jersey title, a state title. And to me, to be able to say that in the state of the economy and, the enrollment issues and all the different things that are going on, the loss of some freshman programs, I'm very, very proud of the effort of our coaches, and I tell them that as much as I can. I probably should tell them more, but also the kids. We've got kids now that are playing more than one sport because we need them to. I know every school's in that situation, but, I really believe, Pete, within the next cycle or two, could end up being a large group two, as opposed to right now a small group 3. And it's just the nature of the economy. You just look around here. I mean, there's the whole situation with Atlantic City has a complete ripple effect, throughout our entire 3 communities that feed our schools. So, long answer to a short question, but I'm very pleased under all the circumstances that every program, there's not one I can say right now that isn't better than they were 5 years ago. And to me, that's a tribute to all the hard work of the coaches and the kids.
Right. And as I scan down the list, and I have it in front of me, I know that Jill Hatz and her field hockey team had a great season. I know that Brian Booth and his boys swimming team, I believe, won a sectional or a state championship. Billy Kern has the baseball team moving in the right direction. I was excited this spring to see Frank Marascio and the softball team really tearing it up because they had some low points, but they seem back on top.
Yeah, it's really it's a great group of girls. We came up against the Lacey team for the sectional title that, it's kind of like, when we had that run with baseball with Billy, it was just kind of like their turn, so to speak. So, hey, we got our feet wet, at that level. But I can tell you, I look at our lineup going into next year because we're very young. We're all sophomores and a couple juniors. And I look at our lineup, Pete, I don't see a hole in it as far as the bat is concerned. I mean, Mackenzie Brennan is a sophomore had the most hits of anybody in the state. And that's just one person. I mean, these girls can swing a bat. And, so we're all ready. As soon as the season was over, it was like the kids want to get back in the cage, and and you can't teach that. You know what I'm saying, Pete? I mean, that's the difference. When you don't have to push a kid to be better, we're all going to be better. And that's the type of athlete that we're promoting now, and that's responding extremely well at Mainland.
Now, your boys' crew coach came in second last night in the McGrath Memorials. Mikey McGrath, actually, in the race that bears his late father's name, I guess he caught a wave. But, crew is a sport that I know when I first got here in 2004, and people would ask me about different sports in the area and stuff. I said, the sport that I'm seeing more Division I signings for than anything else is crew. You got to be pleased with both of your Daves, Dave Funk and Dave Bird.
Yeah, and Dave has stepped down. I mean, we've got a new coach, Eric Summershoe.
Oh, sorry, old list.
No, that's no problem. But Dave, I told Dave this when I came in. I mean, we were together for my first 4 years there. I learned crew from him. I mean, we didn't have crew at Hamilton, and it is a tremendous sport. The ultimate team sport. I say it's synchronized swimming, with an oar. And, there's some money out there, Pete. There's no doubt about it. I think, the thing that's always interesting, and well, too, is that, there could be a whole nother discussion about, the scholarships that are out there, whatever. The bottom line is that there is some money out there, for any of the listeners and yourself, there's very few full rides. Typically it's the sports that, generate revenue. So you'll see football with that and basketball. But, there are quite a number of opportunities, particularly for young ladies, in crew, based upon, their effort at, certainly ERG scores and a variety of things that go into it. But it's a great sport, man. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, no crew at Hamilton, but there is a road to excellence. Now, that's a joke that only you and I will get, and you'll know why I'm making it. But, sometimes I got to get my zings in where I can. So it's Mike Gatley with us here on the South Jersey Sports Report as we're talking a little Mainland Athletics. He's also the former president of the Cape Atlantic League. And I'd be remiss, Gat, if I didn't point out Dave O'Sullivan, who's the normal host of the show and also the publisher of Glory Days magazine. You must work with him a lot, and I've got the current copy in my hand, and it says Leader of the Pack, Mainland's Ashley Albright, a role model on and off the field. So Mainland, the cover child, if you will, of the current issue of Glory Days. Maybe you could tell us about Ashley Albright.
Well, Pete, and that's a great title for her, and I do think for a lot of our kids. I mean, I look at people that we want coming out of Mainland or while they're there, representing really three areas, academic, social, and athletic. And I really leave the athletic part third because if the first two aren't congruent, then you're not going to have the best, athlete on the field. And Ashley's always conducted herself in field hockey and lacrosse, like a champion. And, it's either, I always say it's a nature or a nurture thing. I'm a nurture guy. You create the environment, others are going to follow. So, Ashley's led a path and blazed a trail. She left, as a matter of fact, I was just updating our banners yesterday. I mean, she's leaving as the all-time leading scorer for us in girls lacrosse. Now we have a young lady coming up behind her that I think might get it. But again, that's the beauty of it, that we have somebody else that's on her tail to try to, to beat that too. So, but Ashley, always been one of my favorite kids because of the way she carried herself, and she represents Mainland and the type of athlete that we want representing us on and off the field, to the best extent.
Two other programs that you mentioned, girls lacrosse, Bernadette Daly, what a resource she is for you. I know in my TV 40 days, she was one of the first to fill out the automated form, and I would always get that. And, she puts Ray to work. Her husband, sometimes he takes the pictures. If the publication can't be there, there's the 1,000th goal, or not 1,000, but, the 100th goal or whatever the milestone is. And, of course, Jason Kazmarski on your boys lacrosse side of things. So two other excellent programs at Mainland.
Yeah, and it's going very, very well. The thing that I really like to measure the coaches by is when it comes from a peer situation or an outside source. I mean, we've had in the last 3 years 11 different coaches named Coach of the Year in some capacity, albeit through the press, South Jersey, through their organization. And to me, Pete, that speaks volumes. That's not something that you say as a coach that I'm going to, rise to. But when you are selected by your peers and there's other people outside of, the walls of Mainland that recognize the work that you're doing, I mean, to me, that's the ultimate compliment. And, Bernadette is extremely organized. Very, very good person. I have a great relationship with all the coaches, but I was very, very pleased for her. It wasn't a validation by any stretch of the imagination, but, she did a heck of a job this year, beating Ocean City at Ocean City for the first time, and I don't know when, and that's also a tribute, obviously, to Ocean City without question, but, I appreciate it. I think where we're at in every one of our sports, as I said, is the arrows pointing up, and, everybody's looking forward to coming back for the next season, which is something that you don't always get in every sport.
And we'll maybe wrap up with this as we talk with Mike Gatley, the athletic director for Mainland and the former president of the Cape Atlantic League. I definitely get the sense, Gat, that one of the things, and I think you mentioned it, is, keep it in the family, or try to keep people in the family and then bring people back to the family. There was a nice article on Dennis Horner the other day in the local newspaper that I read, and a subtext of that was the fact that his lovely partner, Kelly Cleaver, is now back in the Mainland fold. So, I mean, that's a great example of you trying to, and who else am I? Tori Rich, I think of the Mainland girls that are now Mainland coaches that are part of the family.
Yeah, Pete, and you hit the nail on the head. I mean, one of the things that was I really charged myself with was to find graduates, like myself. I mean, I'm a graduate, the only person to come back as an administrator, in that school, and I know what those four walls did for me in reference to building character and work ethic, et cetera. And I wanted our kids to see, former students who have played in college come back and give back and aspire to be, a collegiate player. So you are 100% correct. You can look down any one of our rosters, and I don't hire somebody just because they went to Mainland. I mean, they've got to be the right fit, but I can tell you that I'm very, very cognizant of that type of stuff, and I want people to impact young kids like people impacted me, and help direct me and navigate through high school and then hopefully on to college.
He is Mainland alum Mike Gatley, current athletic director of the Mainland Mustangs, and he's been our guest here on the South Jersey Sports Report. Now, Gat, I put you in the 9 o'clock hour because I want to let you get your beauty sleep, but I really appreciate you coming on with us.
Well, the other thing was I was at the gym, and it's bad when I'm relegated to an elliptical and I'm racing some 70-year-old woman next to me and she's beating me. So, that's kind of where I'm at from an athletic standpoint. Way too much basketball, catching up a little bit, but I appreciate it, Pete. I'm an early to bed guy, early rise guy, and that seems to work pretty well for me.
All right, Gat, good stuff. And you're going to the gym. My father's name is Jim. That's about the only comparison I can make on that. I love it, pal. Thanks so much.
All right. Have a great weekend.
All right, Gat, take care. Mike Gatley, the athletic director of the Mainland Mustangs, the former president of the Cape Atlantic League. Cole, any quick addendum on top there?